Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Holly Pritchard, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Brigadier David Kelly, who today retires after 35 years of service. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Horace William Slim Madden. Today marks the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kapyong, one of the most significant actions fought during the Korean War. The battle saw the 27th British Commonwealth Brigade, including the 3rd Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment, defeat a Chinese division that was surging through the Kapyong Valley, threatening the South Korean capital, Seoul. Towards the end of April 1951, Australian troops were resting near the village of Kapyong, preparing to host New Zealand, British and Turkish comrades for Anzac Day. On the evening of the 22nd of April, the Chinese People's Volunteer Army launched its spring offensive, smashing into the 6th Republic of Korea Division at the head of the Kapyong Valley. The South Koreans were quickly overwhelmed and forced to retreat. The next morning, the 27th British Commonwealth Brigade was ordered to prepare defences north of the village. That evening, 3 RAR occupied high ground on the right of the valley, while Canadians of the 1st Battalion, Princess Patricia's Light Infantry, occupied the hills on the left. In support was the 1st Battalion, the Middlesex Regiment, 16th Field Regiment, Royal New Zealand Artillery, and Company A of the US Army's 72nd Tank Battalion. Throughout the evening of the 23rd of April, Chinese troops flooded into the valley. Hard fighting continued throughout the night. Australian posts were overrun, then retaken. But by the following evening, 3 RAR had to stage a fighting withdrawal. As the Australians broke contact, the Chinese turned their attention to the Canadians, who held their ground, supported by the New Zealand artillery and US tanks. By morning, on the 25th of April, the Chinese attack was spent and the threat to Seoul had subsided. The battle had been costly. The Australians suffered 32 men killed, 53 wounded, and 3 taken prisoner of war. One of the prisoners, Private Horace William Slim Madden, was later posthumously awarded a George Cross for his selfless courage in the face of his captors. The Canadians suffered 10 killed and 23 wounded. The American tankers suffered 3 killed, 12 wounded, and lost 2 tanks, while the New Zealanders suffered 2 killed and 1 wounded. The Australians, Canadians, and Americans were awarded the US Presidential Distinguished Unit Citation, the New Zealanders the South Korean Presidential Unit Citation. Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Ferguson, who commanded 3 RAR during the battle, was awarded the Distinguished Service Order. We warmly welcome the delegation from the Department of Defence, Royal Australian Army Educational Corps, the reunion group of D Company, 3 RAR, who served during the Vietnam War. Representing the Air Force Association, Group Captain Alan George, retired, and the Australian Defence Force All-Stars, Women's AFL team. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Bribie Island State School and Bribie Island State High School, visiting from Bongaree in Queensland, and Banksia Beach State School, visiting from Banksia Beach, Queensland. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for
Students and those who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Horace William Madden, GC. Horace William Madden was born on the 14th of February 1924 in Cronulla, a beachside suburb of Sydney, to Charles Bernard Madden and Pearl Allen. Known as Bill, he was the first of two sons. His brother Alan was born in 1928. The boys also had an older sister, Florence. In November 1931, Alan, aged 3, died from a skull fracture suffered when he fell into a storm drain. At the time, Pearl was bringing up her family alone after Charles had abandoned them, ostensibly to find work in the country. Pearl endured severe financial hardships, bringing up her remaining children, and was granted a divorce in late 1935. The family moved several times when Bill Madden was young. He attended Gosford High School, and at the end of 1938, aged 14, he left school to work, initially on a farm, then as a fruiterer's assistant at Morisset. Bill Madden enjoyed playing cricket and soccer. He had an active social life and was a member of the Morisset Rifle Club. After the Second World War began, Madden was mobilised for service in the militia in July 1942 and posted to the 114th Australian General Hospital at Goulburn as a kitchen hand. Standing 6 feet 1 inch tall and with his slender build, he soon acquired the nickname Slim. Madden transferred to the 2nd Australian Imperial Force in August 1943 and over the next 2 years served in New Guinea, Bougainville and Mauritania. From 1946, Madden served in Japan with the British Commonwealth Occupational Force and returned to Australia for demobilisation in June 1947. He spent 2 years working at Morisset Mental Hospital before moving to Paddington. Here he worked as a rubber moulder for Hardy Brothers. Only a month after the Korean War began, Madden enlisted for service in the Korea Special Force, known as K-Force, in Sydney on July 29, 1950. He was sent to Japan in September and was taken on strength of the 3rd Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment at Pakchon in Korea on 5 November 1950. That evening, the battalion came under attack by Chinese forces for the first time. It was a close-run action in which 3RAR was lucky to prevail. The next 4 months saw UN forces withdraw back to the Han River, then in January 1951 advance to the 38th parallel. By mid-April 1951, 3RAR was resting in the Kapyong Valley. On the 22nd of April, a Chinese offensive broke through and into the Kapyong Valley, and 3RAR was one of several units deployed as a blocking force. Fighting was fierce. In the early hours of 24 April, Madden, working as a signalman, was concussed by an exploding Chinese shell while he was laying signal cable near battalion headquarters. Soon after, he was flung by another explosion into a weapon pit. As the headquarters company withdrew, Madden was urged to move by his platoon sergeant, but reportedly said, "I'm stuffed, I've got to have a bit of a blow, I'll catch up." He was captured by the Chinese a short while later. As the UN prisoners were marched north by their captors, a Chinese soldier took Madden's Second World War ribbon bar. Madden took exception to this and abused his guards, for which he was subjected to the first of many beatings. During one of his beatings, he suffered broken ribs when he was beaten by soldiers with their rifle butts. As a result, Madden's chest became misshapen. While at Bean Camp, southeast of Pyongyang, Madden's health deteriorated. After other prisoners were marched north to camps on the Yalu, he remained behind with others who were too sick to march. In November 1951, Madden was part of a large UN contingent of prisoners forced to march to Changsong on the Yalu River, 300 kilometres away. The men, all of whom were in no condition to march, endured freezing temperatures without winter clothing or food. Despite this, Madden remained defiant, sharing what little he had with those he thought were worse off than he was. Flying Officer Ron Guthrie, a fellow Australian who was captured after being shot down by Soviet pilots, was with Madden for part of the march. He later reported that Madden gave him his wristwatch to trade for food. Guthrie managed this, and the prisoners received half an apple each as a result. Madden faded quickly and was put on a handcart with another prisoner. He remained defiant, telling that prisoner, "They'll never make fertiliser out of me, I'll make it." Sadly, his fight ended on the 6th of November when he died from malnutrition and mistreatment by his captors. His fate became known only after the Korean War's armistice in 1953, when United Nations prisoners were repatriated from North Korea and told his story. Horace William Slim Madden's remains were returned by North Korea, and he was formally identified in January 1955. His remains were interred in the United Nations Cemetery at Busan with full military honours. He was 27 years old. Madden was posthumously awarded the George Cross in 1955, the highest decoration awarded to an Australian who served in the Korean War. Part of his citation reads, "Private Madden was held by the enemy until 6 November 1951, when he died of malnutrition as a result of ill treatment. During this period, he openly resisted efforts to force him to collaborate to such a degree that his name and example were widely known through the various groups of prisoners." Horace William Slim Madden's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among with the 340 Australians who died as a result of their service during the Korean War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Horace William Madden, GC, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.